Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. That meeting comes one day after President Trump appeared to shift his language on the war in Ukraine. He is now saying that Ukraine is in a position to win the territory, all the territory it has lost to Russia. Joining us now from the United Nations headquarters is CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis. Olivia, very good to see you there. What was the White House saying their goals were heading into these talks?
Sure. Well, the president has made no secret, Nancy, of wanting to bring this war to a close. But he had been pressuring up until recently President Zelensky to be the one to make a deal. As recently as a month ago, he was suggesting that that would have to involve swaps of land between Ukraine and Russia. Russia, of course, holds about 20% of Ukrainian territory, but the Ukrainians don't currently hold any Russian territory, so it never became clear how exactly that deal was supposed to work out. It also was predicated on a trilateral meeting that the president was striving to arrange between himself, President Putin, and President Zelensky, which has never materialized. So Secretary Rubio was meeting his counterpart, his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, today with a very different perspective being articulated by President Trump. And amid multiple recent Russian incursions by drones and by aircraft into NATO airspace. So we know that it is an entirely different climate that the two men were sitting down to have a conversation in today. Yeah, we don't have a readout yet.
Yeah, I was going to say this shift raised a lot of eyebrows here and abroad, I'm sure. Is there a sense of what we know, what drove the president to now say Ukraine is in a position to take back all this territory?
Well, we know it happened after he met for an hour with President Zelensky in person, one-on-one, and after a series of European leaders here at the UN General Assembly. President Zelensky told reporters very little. He said he wouldn't divulge details of what the conversation was about, but he said that he was glad that President Trump had information that matched what the Ukrainians had, and he said that he could really serve as a game changer if he wanted to in the course of this conflict. Looking at the statement, it is very clearly a rhetorical shift by President Trump. What remains to be seen, and where there is cautious optimism on the part of the Ukrainians and the Europeans, is whether it's matched by any shift in U.S. policy. Are there any punitive measures brought to bear on Russia? Are there sanctions issued? Are there more arms being sent to Ukraine? Unless and until that happens, a statement is just a statement. And we already know that the Russians largely brushed it off, particularly the president's comment about them being a paper tiger. They said, no, we are not a paper tiger. The Russians have always been a bear, and we are a real bear.
Got to get the animals right. Olivia Gazis, thank you very much for your reporting there.
Thanks, Nancy.